It's weird. We peaked Spotify. We'll just talk about Spotify, mate. That's all we got. We got loads of Spotify mentions, and that's it. Hello, guys. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Welcome to episode
Mate,
71 of the
I've
podcast.
just
That was
I've just
definitely not planned.
pressed I've just pressed record. Then it took about 5 seconds for it to work. So it must be something to
Your
do
laptop,
with Loom.
your laptop's on its last legs.
No, because my laptop's been absolutely fine. It's literally just since I started using Loom that it's like started to play up.
Don't next. Come on, tell everyone, mate. You hate Loom, don't you? You got a
I
Loom
don't hate
agenda.
Loom. Hello everybody. Welcome back to the Once You're in Your Own podcast. This is episode number 71.
As I already said so by myself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, mate, I couldn't even hear you because it was lagging out.
Ah.
So, first of all, we'd like to thank everybody. I'll come on to the Lumen screencast story in a minute, but we'd like to thank everybody who's tagged us in stories from their Spotify Wrapped. If you haven't tagged us yet, if we're in your top 5, please do tag us on Instagram. If we're not in your top 5, then what the fuck have you been doing? We should be in the top 5. We should be top. I was a bit disappointed in a couple of people. Macca,
I was.
Macca,
Yep.
second on Macca's. Argon even messaged me saying we'd be top of his if we did more episodes. You can blame Pete for that. We blame Pete because we were supposed to do it in the studio setting. Who else weren't we top of? Sam.
Wait, we're on top
my client
Argon.
Sam.
Mate, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm not trying to be a hater here, but like, do people have time to listen to more than like 1 or 2 podcasts a week?
Because like, people have like.
I don't.
A lot of people listen to a lot of podcasts, yeah. So I was thinking when Macca said that ours wasn't first, I was like, how on earth are we not first on Macca's?
Yeah, I thought that. And I think he messaged me, or I saw somebody, he said, need to do more episodes. I'm like,
yeah, that's what it is.
A week. And we literally, I don't think we've missed a week other than maybe when you were on holiday and I was on holiday. So we probably have missed in this year, like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If we started churning these out every like 3 days, 4 days, I don't feel like the quality would be better. That's for sure. Not like the quality is stupidly high. We just chat. But it's more so, you know what I mean? Like the quality's fucking bottom.
It is elite quality.
Yeah, why the fuck do people listen? But in all seriousness, I'd be like, doing 2 a week, I feel like there's not enough to talk about. We'd have to do guests.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's what we've said we wanted to do. If we were to do 2 a week, we'd have one that's just us, one with a guest. The one with us would be just us chatting and doing Q&As. The one with a guest, we'd be asking them questions and maybe have some questions for them. But yeah, we definitely will look at doing that. It is something we've spoke about in it, and we would like to be able to do that. But we also want to get the podcast filmed in like a more of a professional kind of setting where we're actually in person doing it together rather than doing it on Zoom. But anyway, thank you everybody who has tagged us in their stories. And if you haven't yet, please do tag us. Please check your Spotify Wrapped and see if we're in there. Again, as always, if you haven't given us a rating or subscribed, all that kind of jazz, get on that, please. And to be fair, I remember this is one thing that I thought was cool. Like last year, do you remember we were on a few people's Spotify Wrapped, maybe like 5 or 10, and we were like second or third in a few. And like now we've had quite a lot of story tags, and we were first on most people. So we do appreciate you all, and it is cool.
Can I be honest and say, like, I don't know what, maybe this is me being a bit immature, but like, you know, when we were better than a few, like, you know, when like their top 5 is like all bodybuilding ones and we're first. I
know, like when we were above Off the Cuff, when we were above like Not in the Game and stuff. I know that, mate, to be fair, we're going to be above them. They've done like a few episodes. We do a weekly episode. Yeah. But yeah, there was like somewhere we were above like Revive Stronger and stuff. Like that's pretty cool. He does episodes all the time.
Yeah. I think he's just a podcast dude, isn't he? Literally, I feel like
they're just not as insightful as ours. You see, ours are just more educational.
Yeah, it's like Dr. Mike on every other week, and we just get Josh Bogdani and like Josh Trogan. Yeah,
Dr. Josh Bogdani. Dr. Josh was on. That's what we should do. We just call them Dr. Summit, and it makes them sound clever.
Yeah.
We had Dr. Josh Trogan on. We had Dr. Kez on as well, didn't we?
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Technically a doctor, even though they're not a doctor, without a doctorate or a PhD. But they're a doctor.
I bet Kez could probably say he's a doctor in, what was he? Is it engineering? Or
something doctor of engineering. Josh Progan's a doctor of men's physique. Josh Bogdani is a doctor of teen bodybuilding.
No, cheating.
Doctor of cheating with his posing.
Yeah,
so
getting advantage you can.
The thing that me and Reece were chatting about just before we came on the pod was basically for people that use screen recording apps, they will know. So there's like two main ones. I'd say there's one main one, which is Loom now. Not many people use Screencast. I've used Screencast since I started coaching because it's just been really good and it's always worked absolutely sound. In like the last week or two, it's been saying that my storage is full, even though I've deleted things. And every few check-ins I do, I have to then delete those check-ins once I've sent them, restart the app, and go again.
The pornography that you've got on your monitor. You've got too much. You've got too much pornography.
That's what it is. Too much porn. So basically, because of that, I was like, right, I'm just going to use Loom. And the thing is, do you remember I might have spoken about it in the podcast before? Like a few months ago, I was like, oh, I'm going to try Loom. I did it for like a day, and I was like, this is awful. I used this like free trial for the business part of it. I was like, this is awful. But it's just because it's different. Like, but I honestly don't think it works very well with my laptop because it's just very slow. So it's not ideal. So that's what we were chatting about before the podcast began. If you heard Reece chatting for a few seconds, because then I pressed record on Zoom, and yeah, it was a little bit slow to start. So I think I'm going to blame Loom, Zoom, and Loom. I'm trying to not get
your laptop. You've got an old Mac. Like it's not.
I don't know how old it is, mate. It's not that old. It's not like
I had a MacBook. I had a Mac Pro and I killed it during my dissertation last year. Like that died after my diss. And
but the thing is, like, my Mac is absolutely fine on using it all the time with anything else apart from Loom. So yeah, I don't think it is the Mac.
You said Screencast wasn't working, so it's probably
no. It was. Screencast wasn't slow. It was absolutely fine. It's just it was saying the storage is full. So I don't know. I need to find a way to try and delete it and either carry on trying to use Screencast or not. Anyway, this isn't very good content, so apologies, guys. We're just chatting. Reece has got a Christmas tree in the background.
That's the title of the podcast, Screencast versus Loom.
Yeah, it's not very exciting, is it? Do you want to tell us about the Christmas tree?
Yeah, sure. So I'm at Sanaya's, and they've honestly had this Christmas tree set up for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's been a long time. It's been a little bit too long. A bit like when it's a bit questionable and you just feel like, are you really going to set your Christmas tree up at the start of November? It's like it's one of them. Like it gets a little bit. It was set up a bit too early, but they've got themselves or something that's going to be there. So Beth's laughing behind. Yeah, she's laughing because they're both Sanaya's 22 and Beth, how old are you? 23, and they've literally got themselves chocolates that they both ran over to, and they both were like, "Oh, first of the month!" Ran over and grabbed the chocolate off the tree, and I was just like, "What the fuck am I? Why am I here?"
I didn't even know it was 1st of December today. I was like, someone put in the group chat, they were like, "Oh, has everybody got their advent calendar?" Like, I haven't had an advent calendar for I can't remember how long.
Yeah, I can't
really.
Yeah. My mum buys me one every year, and then she ends up eating it because I don't.
I bet it's a Liverpool one, isn't it?
No, it's not a Liverpool one. Maltese one usually, actually, or a dairy milk one. But
hey, don't lie. Your mum eats it. Does she bollocks?
Mate,
I guarantee you're like, oh, I'll just have that as my my dark chocolate pre-workout.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Maltesers.
Just Maltesers dark. Yeah, Maltesers pre-workout. Oh, fantastic pump from that Maltesers pre-workout. So for that whole advent calendar. Oh yeah, I had an advent calendar earlier. Yeah, one piece now, the whole thing, bro.
Advent calendar is pre.
Yeah, but no, I've not had an advent calendar in years. Literally, it's probably quite sad. We probably should. We should buy each other an advent calendar, mate, and have it pre-workout. That's what it'll be.
Right, we should do. What is it? I'm sure there's a supplement brand that does.
Oh,
yeah, we'll do one of them and use the pre-workout that we get.
Let's be real. What supplement company do you reckon would do an advent calendar? What one would stoop that low to do you buy this for an advent calendar and day one, oh my god, clear way. My protein.
Yeah, it'd be My Protein or bulk powders or one of them commercial ones. To be fair, they have got the majority of the market because that's what most people would buy. When I first bought protein, I thought that My Protein was the only protein. I didn't even think about using anything else other than My Protein.
And then you kept shitting yourself, and you were like, "What is up with this whey protein?"
I was gifted into the. Oh mate, I might have said it before. I bought. It was called Cinnamon Danish. I think it was called something like that. Oh mate, I bought a 5 kilo bag because I like cinnamon. It was the worst thing ever, and obviously I was a kid at the time. I was probably. I might have been about 17, 18 at the time. Probably about 18. But I didn't have money to be oh fuck it, I'll just buy another,
and mate, 5 kg it probably wouldn't be actually that expensive now, like in comparison to nowadays. But 5 kg probably would have set you back like 50 quid.
Back then, I think it was like 60 odd quid or something. Like, so I'm not going to spend that. Like, no chance. I wouldn't waste that. Like, that would be like, right, that's expensive. I need to use it all.
Yeah.
And it was awful. Like, I remember I used to
just crying. You're like,
honestly, I used to have it post workout. Like, obviously, not long after I'd trained, I'd run down from the leisure centre gym, and I'd be like,
you didn't have it in your bag already?
I'd be
I
like,
used to have it my shake in my bag. I'd finish the gym.
Oh, straight away. I had it in the locker. You weren't allowed bags on the gym floor. It was one of those gyms.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was gipping into it, like in the changing rooms, literally like trying to drink it. And I'd do that until I'd finished the 5 kilo bag. And then I remember like I bought vanilla and it was just as bad. It was awful. And I was like, I'm just going to do it again.
So for like 6 months, you were just like,
every like,
workout, throw it up.
I don't even think it crossed my mind once to like just change it to like because I'd spent money on it. I was like, I've got to have it. But I didn't even think I'll just have to buy another one or I'll just have chicken instead. Like I was like, no, I have to have this. It's like I didn't even think twice. So I just wanted it that bad.
Yeah, that's hilarious. My first was like gold standard, Optimum Nutrition.
That's good, mate, for your first.
Yeah, no, it was sound. That was my first like proper way, and I had like the chocolate flavor.
And get it from like Holland and Barrett or something.
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I think I got it from the gym that I used to go to like on one time.
I bet you did. I bet that's where you got your fucking SARMs, you big cheat.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, "Yo, bro, just take this Osterine." I was like 15, and I was no wonder
that story that Josh said. That's something that would happen to you, but you took it, and now you're like, "Oh no, I was natty until last year." All right.
What's this? What? I'd just be like, "Oh yeah."
When Josh said that guy offered him, I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was D-ball. That guy offered him D-ball, but he just said, "Oh, this is just what you need to have," and he gave him some, or Josh bought some. And then Josh like read up on it when he got home and put it in his mate's bag or something to get rid of it. Wait, do you not listen to our guests? This is a story.
No, I do. I just remember. I remember the ending. So it's like, and I forgot where he was going. I forgot what he did with it. And he was like, "Yeah, put it in my mate's bag," and then told the principal of school that he's got steroids in his bag.
So that reminds me. I reckon that's happened to you, but you've actually just gone through with it. You went, "Oh yeah."
If I'm honest, and it didn't happen. But if it did, what does it matter? Because I didn't compete naturally.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. Technically, it doesn't matter when you jump on. So I could say, "Oh yeah, I was natty in 2020," but in reality, does it make a difference? Because I'd be better if I wasn't natty in 2020. I fucking should have jumped on gear when I was 14. Fuck.
It makes you. It probably makes you. It makes you less impressive, and it makes you, I guess, seem probably less educated. If you're like, "Oh yeah, I jumped on when I was 14." It's like,
yeah, 100%. No, and I also think, I'm clearly, just to say, we are joking, but in all seriousness, we've said it multiple times, people that just jump on way too early, if you haven't set those foundations, I would much rather, if anything, make less progress initially. So let's say if your goals were, you've trained for a year or two and your goals are to compete in enhanced, I still think you'd be better long-term waiting. We've said it before, learning how to train, which takes time regardless of PD, but more so when you only have training, nutrition, and recovery. We've said before, how many people do we know? It's you'll speak to them about their nutrition, and they're like, what the fuck? How do you you get away with their nutrition being slack, their recovery being slack, their training being slack? And it's like, okay, cool, you took gear for 3 years and you get away with it because of course you're going to grow. But it's one of those. So yeah, I feel even though we joke saying I probably should have, in reality, those years that you might not actually be making the most progress if your goals are to compete in the enhanced realm, we'd probably say it's better to wait out and actually learn the basics. I think most people who jump on will probably say the same. They probably should wait.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anybody who is enhanced now or has been in the past say, "Oh, I just wish I'd done it sooner." I've never heard that. All I've ever heard is either, "Yeah, it's all right as long as you make sure you manage it well," or "I only feel test." I've heard that. Oh no, I only feel trend. Sorry.
Only feel trend. Yeah, we only feel trend.
I only feel trend.
On the dude at Rotherham that we heard 2020.
But most people you'll hear it's either don't do it or wait.
Yeah.
Usually, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think
you'll ever hear somebody rip their shirt off and go, "Fucking jump on, bro, it's sick."
Yeah, the thing is, that's because of who we would surround ourselves with. There will be people like that. There'll be loads of people like that. But
yeah,
we would just be like, you wouldn't listen to that person. You wouldn't take their advice, would you? You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that's a person that I'm definitely gonna, actually listen to. Yeah. They'd be the people that you just think, fucking hell, like you just laugh at and be like, okay.
No, but you not want to hit your potential, Finn.
No,
that's the thing. You don't want to hit your potential.
No, I just want to stay natty and make sure I'll just be nowhere near my potential. I want to live my life full of regrets, thinking, what if I just jumped on gear?
Is that what you're gonna do? So when when you're like 70, you're gonna be sat there thinking, I know I should have fucking jumped on gear. Should have took it.
I'll be thinking, thank God I've had these extra 40 years of life that I've had. Fantastic. I've seen my kids grow up, my grandkids, and I didn't die when I was 30. I'll be buzzing.
Yeah, you'll like be like, yes, I outlived Reece by 40 years. Did a good job. Makes sense, mate. Makes sense.
No, I think like I've said this before, like when people ask, obviously, mate, we've gone through this so many times when people say like, why doesn't Finn jump on? Like, I've obviously we've mentioned it enough, but like I've always said before to people when they'll ask me, like the goal isn't to be the biggest and the strongest person in a given gym. Like that's why most people do it. Like if your goal within bodybuilding, whether it be natural or enhanced, is generally to be as good as you can be, to be the best that you can be in that given sort of side of the sport, if you like, if you were to separate those two sides of the sport, then they're no different. Like they're the exact same, like the same principles. Like our lives are no different, apart from the fact that you pin yourself every now and again.
Yeah, every now and again.
And you'll have about 50% of my life.
Yeah, 50 times a day, bro, minimum. That's what it is.
No, but you know what I mean? Like nothing else changes. It's literally just a case of that is going to then lead to you being able to be at a level that is super physiological, which is both from an endocrine perspective, but also from a training perspective. That's why I say like you can't do anything impressive because it's basically not human.
Yeah, it's not human. No, exactly. But that being said, then I can do like hashtag like road to pro, hashtag road to the O, hashtag all that.
Mate, there's a natural O. It's the same. It's just the same. The natural Olympia. No, I heard about it.
We're not having the same standard, bro. The natural Olympia is just not the Olympia. It's not the real Olympia, bro. It's like,
mate, I think it is. I think Adam Powell is the amateur Mr. Olympia.
What is he the Natty Ramy?
No, he's the amateur. He's the amateur Natty Ramy.
Oh, is there what? Is there an actual natural Olympia, like proper, not amateur?
Yeah, it's like the natural Olympia that Adam went and did, and quite a few people did. There's a pro show. So if Adam won his pro card, if he'd have then gone and done the pro show, like that's that. He could have been. He could have been the Ramy.
That's the Natty Ramy. Imagine having your bio, like you win it, and you're like the Natty Big Ramy. You'd be like Adam Powell _ Natty Big Ramy. That would be his Instagram.
And then whoever wins it each year, you just keep changing. Unless you don't win it, you have to win it as well.
What's this?
You'd have to win it as well. Like if Adam won it, but then let's say Brandon Curry won it, he'd change it to that.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, natural enhanced talk, mate. Natural enhanced talk. Anything happened in your week? I'm deloading currently, so I probably should get into that. Deloading, taking a few days off. Needed, definitely needed. I think I said on the last podcast, last 7 to 8 weeks have been very, very productive training wise, but I also feel absolutely smoked. I've been quite under the weather. The last few weeks, last 2-3 weeks have been good. But when you train and you've been a bit ill, you notice that kind of fatigue kind of accelerate pretty rapidly. And it was literally, I remember, I think I was like 3 weeks after my deload, and I was like thinking, how long has it been? Which should never be the case. If you're 3 weeks after a deload, you should be in that kind of second, third rotation, feeling on top of the world. And I remember like thinking, I feel absolutely smashed. But that's literally just because I got quite unlucky. I was ill, and then I just like kind of trained through it, which in hindsight, like we say before, like it's never going to be ideal, like regardless. But if you can get up, if you can still do something, I'd much rather give it a go and go from there. And in reality, I didn't like put myself into a massive ditch. I was quite clever with how my programming was, but yeah. So deloading, taking pretty much like I had yesterday as like an arm session, so I just did the latter end of my usual kind of upper session. I'm going to have today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday off, so it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, so pretty much 4 days worth of rest, which will be good. And then I'll get back into the gym Monday, and I'll probably assess. I reckon the first session or two probably just be a slightly lesser volume. That push and arm session is pretty high volume, so that'll probably just be pulled down. And the lower session, our lower session isn't that high volume, is it? So I'll probably be able to do that. Like I'll probably just do maybe one set of the leg press, depending on how that goes. But yeah, and then that gives me a good like 6-week period after that to kind of push hard until pretty much like the start of my pullback in Jan, and then prep begins the back end of Jan. Oh, we should actually talk about it. I haven't spoke about the prep, have I? Really?
No, mate. You spoke about it plenty to me. I'm a bit fed up of it, but you can tell everyone else.
Well, mate, no, I just ran some ideas by you because I had a few different options. So pretty much I get back from Canada on the 20th of Jan. Like I said, I'll be starting my slight pullback. So from like a PED standpoint, I'll be coming down into a physiological range for January. I'll be already into a physiological range by the end of December, if I'm honest. So that'll give me a good period of time where food doesn't really need to be that high. Just because if PEDs are at a lower point, it's not really going to make too much sense to kind of keep smashing in loads of food. So I'll probably shave off like a few kilos of water fluctuations, potential fullness, food volume, and so on and so forth. And then I'll start to slowly scale my expenditure up. When I'm in Canada for like 12 days or whatever, I'll end up probably losing weight in that period. We're staying in an Airbnb, so I'll be cautious with my food. I'm not going to be eating like a bell end. My activity will be high. And when I went on holiday to Egypt, I dropped 6 kilos in a week. So I'll probably drop a bit of weight, but not again. I won't try to lose weight intentionally. Be a sense of probably maintaining weight. I'll probably buy scales out there, if I'm honest, so I can just keep things in the sense of like body weight scales, so I can keep things kind of consistent. And then I get back, literally I'll be starting prep like the day or two after I get back. And then the first show will be the latter end of April, which will be like 12 and a bit weeks for a PCA show. Two Bros regional, 13th of May. And then so that'll be 15 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, from when I start. And then it will be Poland, most likely, is the first pro qualifier, 27th of May. So that'll be 18 weeks from the start. I don't know about the pro qualifier, but either way, first main show will be the Two Bros one, but I'll be doing a PCA one before, just probably chipping in, seeing how things look, getting some stage experience, and hopefully picking up a sword. So that'll be the goal.
Nice, mate.
Any questions, mate? Any questions you want to ask?
No, mate. I'm just happy to help you on along the way, and I'll just be traveling with you, and I'll be living the life of a bodybuilding fan, I guess.
Or just follow them, take your photos, take like post workout. Reece, we take some photos, and then after every show, the classic. Congratulations
to me asking you to take photos. It'll be the opposite way around. Can you take this one? Take that? Oh yeah. We're there like last time.
When will you be starting prep, mate? You said on your story the other day, I'm going to be honest, you said on your story, like on one of them, April, and then you said March 20th, like the following story. What's that about?
Like the back end of March, so it's like April.
Okay.
Like it's the end of March, but I just have in my head that it's April because like it's very close to April. You know what I mean? Like it's closer to April than it is the start of March.
I started my prep last year, like April 26th. And I had in my head like, May. Like May.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact date. April 20th. March 20th, sorry. I've got it on my phone. I think that's the date. Let me double check. But yeah, that's based on obviously sort of coming off the back of the pre-prep diet and then having pretty much like 6 months of gradually pushing back up. So the date that I am looking to start is the 20th of March. And then in terms of shows, I've even like planned like probably where I'll have deloads and diet breaks and stuff along the way. But obviously that's just going to end up being like reactive based on how things are going. So the first show I'm definitely planning to do is the UKDFBA Heart of England. So that's the 17th of September. Then 3 weeks after that, there is the UKDFBA finals. 2 weeks after that, the WMBF finals. So they're like the three definite shows. Obviously, you have to qualify for the UKDFBA finals. Obviously, they don't have a WMBF qualifier at the minute. And then shows before that, the UKDFBA Northern is the 20th of August. The Southern is the 3rd of September. So, I mean, maybe if I'm ready really early and I wanted to practice a show, I can go to those. I said to you, I'll probably do a PCA show just to see what the crack is. There's a Midlands show on the 10th of September, which is a week before the UKDFBA show. So that wouldn't be a bad idea just to see where I'm at. And use that as like a practice run.
Yeah,
but all of that is just a rough plan. Like it can all be subject to change depending on how things end up going. Obviously, if I'm ready earlier than I thought, I'll do some earlier practice shows. If I'm ready potentially a little bit later, if I'm a bit behind, then there's other shows I can do. So that's like what I'm aiming for, but it's not like I have to be ready for that exact date. That's the main show. Like, I reckon I'll be ready pretty early anyway, based on like the starting point and the time frame.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And you said before, like, what your expected weight is like less than last time or around the same.
I reckon I'll probably be lighter than last time, yeah.
Yeah, because you're 186, 187 currently, and you're 166, weren't you, last time?
Yeah, the lightest I was 166. But the
Mad,
thing is, like,
because I remember we both were like, you still had fat to come off last time. Like you weren't peeled, but like I look at you now and I think like if you were to say how much weight do I have to pull off till I'm like peeled, I'd be like way more than 20 pounds. I'd be like 25 or 30.
yeah, but I don't think I do, because like
pound is not every pound is not the same. Like 20 pounds off from where you are now is gonna be drastic from 20 pounds from where you were.
even £5, like,
yeah,
I think if I was to lose another 10, 15 pounds, like I don't think I would look. I think I would be like, yeah, like I could easily step on stage and be in very good condition. Like I wouldn't be inside out, which I want to be, but I'd be like, it wouldn't be like fucking hell, you're soft. Like if I competed now, I'd be soft. But even if I pulled off 10 pounds from here, I wouldn't look soft. I wouldn't be like fucking hell, yeah, you're really lean. But I wouldn't look soft, especially my upper body. Like my upper body, 5-10 pounds from now, it's not stage condition, but it's like lean enough to pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It won't be like, fucking hell, it don't look like he's dieted.
No. But then that being said, you say that, but the tan always, you potentially could get the lighting, like
Depends
just
who
the tan
you get as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I remember like I was fucking peeled for the first show, got the tan, and I remember like you looked at me and you were like, "It's a good thing you're as conditioned as you are because you don't look at all as lean as you did like 2 days."
It's always the same with the tan, isn't it? I think unless like, I don't know, it's very rare that I see people look better with a tan, to be honest.
I think
obviously like under the stage, like they do, but like just in person,
The first layer I think is all right. The second layer most of the time is just like so fucking dark, it's ridiculous. Like I remember we took the photos. Do you remember in that Emporium gym before? Like, the first show.
Yeah.
And I like look back at those. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror going, I'm like, I can't see any detail. I look like I've not died. And then you step into the stage lighting and it's like, oh, I'm peeled.
Your tan was very dark that day though.
Yeah, it was.
Darker than like anyone else's. It was probably a bit too dark.
Yeah, that was the PCA. They did the same tanning protocols as what they do to anybody. And I remember Nicola saying, because how my skin is, my complexion, and then likewise, my skin's pretty dry. So it just soaks up the tan. And then you match that with, I'm already pretty tan. So I think it just concludes to me being a lot darker than most people.
Yeah.
Because even when she did it, it was darker than most people. I don't think anyone really had a darker tan than me, which works in a good way if you are peeled, because but like if you're not, if you were at all like somewhat soft, it's going to show, especially when it comes to being up against people. So yeah, make sure you get your tan right. I'm guessing you're going to be getting yours done by Nicola. I need to speak to her because I want to get her to do mine for the UK shows.
Hey, what about Poland shows? You're not going to fly her out?
Imagine I say, come with me. To be fair, that's the one thing I actually am not 100%. I'm guessing Two Bros and like the NPC, they'll have a tanning regime, or you could just, if you're coming, or if like Sanaya's coming or whatever, you just have to tan me the night before.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Sanaya's
not doing it. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm coming. Finn wasn't even planning on it, but he hears about the tan. He's like, yes, get me there.
No, I'll get, Nicola obviously is like the main tanner for the UK FBA anyway, so that would be like definitely done anyway. But even the other shows, she lives so close, doesn't she? And she's proper sound. Like I'd rather go to her and know that it's going to be good and give her my business than go to someone else because that's what they recommend. You know what I mean? Like even I've not planned the BNBF shows because they've not come out yet. But with BNBF, they get you to do your own tan and use, it's called, is it dark as tan? That's what it is. But again, like just to save the stress of doing that, if I can just go to Nicola's the day before and just get her to do it, like I don't have to worry about doing my own tanning or getting Shannon to do it. Like just so much easier. And you know that it's going to be good. Like you don't have to stress about what if I don't do this bit right, or what if it doesn't look as good on my face, whatever. Like the last thing you need when you're like a day out or a few hours out is stressing about that.
Yeah, I remember I paid for I paid for the PCA to do it on the finals, and then I spoke to Nicola when she did it for the Arnolds, and she was like, "Don't get it done. Like your tan in the first show was too dark." She was like, "I'll just do it for you," and I was like, "But you're at the UKDFBA show." She was like, "Come in, I'll fit you in here." I think I went round to hers at like a silly time in the morning on one of the shows.
Yeah, she is good.
She's awesome, yeah. Because like I think if you're respectful, and also you're paying for a service, but she'll get you done, like, and she'll get you sorted. I'd be, mate. Even I feel like if she was like not as close as she was, and we knew about her, we probably both would travel. Like,
yeah, even if she was like an hour or so away, like yeah, sound.
Yeah. So I'll be saying to her, "Do you want to come to Poland?"
Mate, she'd love that. She'd probably love that.
She would. Yeah, she would. Yeah.
Right, should we
sure.
get into some questions?
Sure thing, mate. Sure thing. We'll start the second part, yeah? Listener question time.
So last week, because of the long episode, we got through everybody's questions. So we've not got that many this week because usually we have more to carry over from last week. So do you want to go first or should I go first?
You go first, mate. Feel free.
This is from Argon, your best mate, Argon.
Yeah.
So he's put Milos is philosophy versus Dorian's, or Dorian's, however you want to call it. Guess we can say both sides of their names.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm not actually that well versed in what Milos's theory is. Isn't he? Is it high volume? I'm guessing it's going to be the opposite.
Like a lot of intensifiers, from what I'm aware, like high volume, a lot of intensifiers. The opposite of what you would expect Dorian's training to be.
Yeah, that's the reason why I thought it would be. Like I said, I'm not actually. The thing is, and this is we've said this before, it's the same as what, like, I guarantee this was a debate maybe a few years back before we were probably into the bodybuilding circle. But like this last year, it's been reps in reserve versus failure. Like there's going to be maybe 2 or 3 years from now, volume will come back around and it'll like a bit of a debate where it's like, oh, I'm going to do 5 sets or I'm going to do this amount of, if it leads to progression, which it will do. Like if you're going to be progressively overloading the demand of each session, or likewise if you're doing, and also I will say, I've said this before, people think Dorian did fucking 8 sets a session. He didn't. He was doing like 17 to like 22 sets. Like he was literally doing like on average like 20 sets per session. So people think Dorian was stupidly low volume. It wasn't. Look at his logbooks; they're a lot higher volume than people realize. But regardless upon that, if you're doing 2 sets and let's say per exercise you're doing 5 sets, if you get stronger, or likewise it leads to progression, you're probably going to grow. So like, I don't really have an opinion. Like I would prefer to train like Dorian myself in the sense of training intensity and likewise kind of lower total volume and working on the quality. Then I wouldn't really, like me and you probably wouldn't enjoy doing 5 sets and drop sets and stuff, but we probably would enjoy it on a one-off basis. On lower, for example, if we're doing a split squat and we do a triple drop set, are we instantly into fucking Milos's theory and we're doing what he did? You know, like, works hand in hand, and we enjoy that sort of stuff.
That's it. I think like it doesn't need to be one or the other. It's not like they can't work. You know, they couldn't work together. Like it's not as if this is like you can't. They're not mutually exclusive. It's not like, right, if you're going to train with Dorian's philosophy, you cannot train with Milos's philosophy. Like that's not the point. Like generally, I'd say how we like structure our training is probably similar to doing that in terms of like, you know, incorporating both. But I'd also say that it's not their philosophies. Like it's higher volume with more intensifiers and lower volume with less intensifiers. That's all it is. Like it's the same with like if you say, you know, reps in reserve or training to failure, like, or high volume or lower volume training again. And that's relative to you as an individual. Like what someone else might see as high volume, we might see as low volume, like, you know, or vice versa. Yeah. So it's like, people just overcomplicate it way too much. Like, you know, we've always said, focus on the basics in terms of, are you actually training with good form? Are you actually training hard? If you're doing those things, are you recovering? If all of those are ticked off, cool, add a set here or there. Yeah, based on maybe your weaker body parts or body parts that maybe aren't growing as fast as others. Yeah, you know, if you're able to analyze your physique that closely. But if you're not training with good form, you've already lost at the first hurdle. So don't be worrying about fucking adding more volume or whether or not you're doing high volume or low volume, or, you know, whether or not you're training hard enough or you're strong enough. Like none of that even matters until you're actually training accurately and then training hard enough. Like we'll say it all the time, like you can't really train hard if you're not training accurately.
Yeah.
Like you can throw a weight around all you want, but You can do yeah buddy rows all you want, but you're probably not, like, if you're not accurately training that muscle, you're not really training that hard, are you? You're just throwing weight around. So focus on those things first. Then maybe you can worry about whether or not you want to add a set here or there or whatever it may be. But I would say that like starting on the lower end makes more sense. Like, you're not going to be a new trainer and go in and be like, oh, I'm going to do what Milos does. Like, if you do, then it's just not a good idea, because you're not going to be training with any real level of accuracy or good form, because you're just focusing on how many drop sets you've got to do or something like that. Like, so I would say, like, to keep it more simple first. Then if we're looking at it from a either or, I would say Dorian's to, like, at least get people settled into understanding how to train. And then in the future, you could be like, oh, I'm going to look at adding in, more volume here. The thing is, it's not like there's those two. There's hundreds of different training philosophies.
I'd argue that if you're starting out, you probably wouldn't want to do like a push-pull legs. You probably want to do an upper lower, which Dorian wouldn't do. So you'd say, right, do an upper lower. That would already be, whoa, I'm not in Camp Dorian. I'm not in Camp Milos. What? Fucking hell. We're now creating something different.
Where am I? I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, where am I? Yeah, I need to do something that someone else did that had completely different genetics to me. And we're probably either coaching high-level individuals on PEDs, or it's on PEDs themselves, or it's completely different information and knowledge. Oh no, what am I going to do? Mate, our push and arm session is, we start off and it's Dorian, and then we transition to Milos. Fuck, don't we? Like, we do.
No, we probably start off with Milos. We do 4 sets of a lateral.
Yeah, we do 4 sets of lateral. I do a rest pause. So I do an intensifier on the first exercise. Then we do 3 presses, which are 6 sets, so 2 sets each. So that's Dorian, top set, back off set. And then I do a fly superset with a rear delt, and then I do 2x2 try with drop sets and intensifiers. Bro, I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm in Dorian.
You need to choose one or the other, otherwise you won't make any progress.
I'm in Milos Yates. That's what I'm going with. That's my camp. But yeah, I find it, like, as you said, like, assess the basics, get good at the basics. You really don't need to think more than that. I think I feel like the volume side of things is so simple. I had a client who unfortunately had to just stop due to finances getting with the time of year. And he messaged me like, hey mate, in the check-in, could you go through like a plan for the next 3 or 4 months when it comes to volume escalations? I know you touched upon it. And like, I kind of said to him, like, I can, but it's very important to understand how your actual feedback is, and that's hard to assess. But like, I feel like if I was to say to him, and I said this to him honestly, like, if I was to say to you, right, bro, let's just add another set here, let's do this in week 4, it's impossible, because what happens if in week 2 you've got soreness? Like, we've said from the get-go, it should really be a case of assessing and thinking, right, are my hamstrings growing? Okay, they're sound. Cool, that's fine. Are my hamstrings maybe not growing? Okay, cool. Do I assess execution? Are they recovering in time? Could I maybe add another set? Could I add an intensifier? And things like that. And almost thinking not just about the session, but how it maps out over a week. And like I said, I think a lot of people think it has to be one way or the other, but it should be a bit of a blend that's appropriate towards you. And then also, we're quite lucky. We've been doing this for a lot of time. Like, I know we're both pretty young, but we've got a good amount of training. We've always been very analytical. We were never, when we started training, I don't think we ever did an exercise and didn't have a bit of dialogue afterwards. We wouldn't be like, yeah, that's like, we wouldn't just do an exercise and think, oh yeah, I saw a YouTube video, let's do that. And we wouldn't
always like, do you actually feel that? Yeah. Where we're trying to feel it? Are you actually performing the movement pattern of that body part? Like, yeah. Well,
I feel like a lot of people, unfortunately, would just be like, oh, my bro deadlifts and he's strong and he's big, so I'm going to deadlift.
Yeah.
You know? Or we've got to do this exercise because we saw this person in a YouTube video did it. Like,
I think maybe in like your first few months of training, like that's maybe what you do. But then once you actually start to realize, like, okay, like, I just feel fucked. Like, I'm not actually getting much, I'm not really getting anywhere because my form shit. Once you start maybe trying to learn a bit, like, and maybe start watching a bit of YouTube, or like, then when you actually get a bit of interest in it, then you realize, oh, actually, like, there's a lot more to it than just doing what my mate does or whatever it may be. But no, it's funny you say that, because I've had the exact same thing with a client. Like, and today I was saying, like, this is kind of how I would want you to, moving forwards, like coaching yourself, this is how I would want you to look at, maybe adjusting your volume. But it was kind of what I said earlier in terms of assess the basics first. Is your execution good? Are you training hard? Are you actually progressing? Are you recovering? And if all those are sort of green lights, cool, add a little bit, but don't go and add 8 sets to a body part. Like, add a little bit and assess where maybe is a bit slower in terms of, visual progression.
Yeah. And I feel like you get to a point where, like, my volume currently on like push, because obviously that's like a big priority. I remember I added a set onto a fly prior to my compounds on my push session on Friday, and my numbers for the rest of the week, like from that Friday to then Monday to then Wednesday, were like either downwards of what they were previously in the sense of progression, and likewise I felt like just battered, and I was like, okay, I clearly have I just added one set, so it wasn't like I added 2 or 3, I added one set, and for the next 3 sessions it was like probably done a little bit too much. So I took that and thought, can't get away with that. I moved it around. I manipulated it. But and this is the problem, if I had said to, let's say, this client, or likewise, if I had planned that in, do I just stick with it? Do I just accept that my progression is not going to be the best? And do I just go, yeah, cool, I've put my volume up? No, I did it 1 week and I went, yep, not prepared for that. Not ready for that. And I
think as well, like at the level of strength that you're at, and like, as people do get stronger, like you got to be aware that is going to also lead to more fatigue. The stronger you are, the harder that you can train, and the more accurately that you can train, the more fatigue that you're going to accumulate. So if anything, it's almost like a natural progression that you'll probably end up doing less over time on more demanding movements. Like, so again, this is looking at bigger movements that require a lot of load, really, like a lot of mechanical tension going through. If you think like you're pressing at the minute, then we're not looking at your laterals, we're not looking at your arm work. Like if you're looking at your pressing or your leg pressing or your hinging, like you're not going to do, imagine you add, I'm just going to add another set of a hinge, and I might add another set of a hinge. Like that's just not going to happen, because you're just going to be absolutely trashed. Like, so it's not that volume isn't the same. Like not all volume is equal. Like yes, you might have weaker hamstrings, but I wouldn't then say, right, just add an extra 2 sets of a hinge. But you could add 2 sets of a ham curl across a week. Like, so you got to be aware of that as well. Like, but there is, again, this is why it's good to have a coach, because they prevent you from making those mistakes.
Yeah, and you can have that dialogue. Like, how many times will we like chat to each other in the gym, and we'll literally say like, oh, this didn't feel that good, or this felt good, or maybe I'll go, like, for example, the other day on the Monday session, my push session went from doing my Friday session, sorry, I put in the dumbbell press. So I put in the dumbbell press. I then was doing a Cybex shoulder press and then a Smith close grip. Prior, I was not doing the dumbbell press in that session. I was doing a different session, and I was also doing a cable press. Now, I was doing 7 total pressing sets in that session previously, and I changed it to 5, because the implementation of the dumbbell press is way, way more demanding, both from like a general loading standpoint through my joints, tendons, and musculature, than a fucking D-handle cable press, where it's not that fatiguing due to the profile, and likewise it's heavy in the short end. So it's a case where I'm lifting 3 weights, and I've literally said to you, there's no chance I'm going to be able to do 7 sets or 6 sets today. Like I got around to the close grip Smith, I'd done 4 heavy sets, and I was absolutely smoked. I was done. I was like,
the thing is,
I pressed
well,
the 80,
like
75 and heavy shoulder press,
That's the thing, though. People just assume that volume is the only driver for growth. So they'll go, oh, well, you went from 7 to 5, so you must, you've gone backwards. You've gone backwards that session, because if you were to add up all your volume, if you were to times the amount of weight that you're using on that cable press, if you were to times that by the amount of reps you got, times 3 sets, that's not going to be the same as 2 lower rep dumbbell presses. It's like, it's not that simple. Like, otherwise we'd all just do, like, for example, well, okay, let's look at something like a pendulum squat. Yeah. Do you ever see people using as much load on a pendulum squat as you do a leg press? Probably not. Yeah. No. Does that mean that the total load on a leg press is just so much more volume? Because then you just wouldn't do a squat pattern. You do movements that you can do a squat pattern.
You won't want the fatigue from the leg press. That's what it would be.
No, if we were looking at solely volume, and if we're literally just looking at reps times weight times the amount of sets that you do, then we would do movements that we can load up a shit ton of weight on that given machine. Yeah. For example, a leg press rather than a squat variation. And we'd go, oh, well, look, I'm progressing my total volume. It's like, but there's so much more to it than that. And again, that comes down to what's your execution looking like. Obviously, with a barbell squat, well, not necessarily a barbell squat, any kind of squat, a hack squat, whatever it may be, like there's going to be more variables involved. You're probably going to be on a steeper plane. You're going to be actually moving more of that given load. Like, again, would you say, well, I've gone from doing the Cybex hack to the Atlantis hack. Oh my God, look how much volume I've increased. I'm going to grow loads. No, it's a different machine. Like, so again, it's not as simple as that's what people will just go, oh, it's just your weight times your reps times your sets. So as long as that's progressing over time, that depends on numerous different things as well.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I feel like we've answered that question extremely well. Argon has also asked, do you change load /tempo/rep range on every set, same exercise when training to failure. So I'm not too sure if that's regarding, like we've mentioned, that we have like rep range is to somewhat of an extent, but we also are very critical in the sense of like, we'll do a heavy set, maybe a lighter set, but we'll manipulate it based off feel, depending on how we are in the moment, depending on previous data, and so on and so forth. Did you interpret that question any differently, mate? Like that's how the way I kind of took it upon. We wouldn't manipulate.
Basically saying, do we have to change the load every single week?
Do you change load, tempo, rep range on every set on the same exercise when training to failure?
Oh, okay. So if you were to do 3 sets, let's say, would you do 3 straight sets, or would you do a heavier set, a back off set, a third set? Would they all be different tempos, or would you do 3 straight sets?
Okay, yeah.
Or 2 straight sets?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of them where, like we mentioned this before, like it depends on the exercise. Like depends. I wouldn't be changing tempos from a week to week sort of setting, because that's going to lead to challenging progression models. Like let's say if you were to do a hack squat and you were to do 1 week, you can do a 4-second eccentric. The following week you're going to do a 1-second eccentric. Then you're going to add a pause, and you know what I mean. And then you're going to do the following week you're going to add a pulse rep. Like you know what I mean. Like you're never going to actually be able to progress. So, but that being said, we make tempos within our sets of an exercise. Our leg extensions, for example, our isolations, I'll intentionally place, like for example, pull training or something like a pull down. I'll do a 2 count contraction for the first set, and then for the second set, I might have just maybe a slight micro pause. I might have a continuous sort of approach. I might still have the contraction depending on feel. Depends on how the set and the extra exercise
it depends. It depends on the movement. It depends on the sequencing of the session and the placement of that movement in the session. It's not as simple as like, we have to change the rep range and the tempo of every exercise, of every set of every exercise, because that's just what we do. So no, we'll do it when it makes sense. Like, but otherwise, like, for example, arm training at the end of a session, like let's say 3 sets of a bicep curl, like we don't necessarily change even the rep range. Like we probably do a lighter set just to get a lot of blood flow there. Then we do a bit of a heavier one. Then we do maybe a moderate set. They all probably end up being within maybe 8 to 15 reps. And like, it's not a case of like, right, this set, we're going to do 3 seconds in the contraction. This set, like, it doesn't really make sense doing it at that point in the session. But like say, maybe earlier on with an isolation, you know, something like a leg extension, something like a pull down, where we can really sort of, you know, maximize that shortened range, a movement that is, you know, basically designed to get that muscle almost fully short, if you like, and be able to sort of maximize that, then it makes sense. But then we wouldn't go and do a leg extension with a pause in the contraction at the end of a session. That's it's about where you would place it. And yeah, it's not just like, yeah, we do because it looks fancy. Like,
I always
we'll only do it if it makes sense to do it. Like,
yeah, 100%. And I think as well, when it comes to load, like changing load, I've got a bit of like, it's a bit of bro science, but it is as well like just common sort of thought process. I do think like when you've excreted like the maximum you can out of every like a specific load for an exercise, I almost think like I'll rarely ever do a second set on that, because I've got out what I can. I'd rather go heavier or go lighter.
I think,
you know, so I can kind of fail within a different rep range and get more out of potentially a different load. So for example, if you're doing pause, you interrupted me, bro. Go for it. Fucking interrupt me again, dickhead.
Sorry, mate. It's because it's lagging. Sorry if the quality of the audio is not the best for the listeners. It's like it is lagging a little bit on your side. It does say it's my internet connection though.
It's Loom.
Yeah, it must be Loom. Honestly, I think it probably is. It's that Loom's trying to piss about in the background. I can't remember what I was going to say now, mate. Sorry, you carry on.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say, like, once you've excreted what you can out of a load, like, I'd rather go lighter or heavier. So I feel like I'm actually getting a little bit more out. I wouldn't want to do 70 kg on a leg extension for a set 10 and then do 70 kg for a second set and get 9 or 8, you know, due to fatigue. And because I'd just be like, well, I would have preferred to have gone to 80 kg and get 6 or 60 kg and get 12 and actually kind of work within a slightly different sort of rep range.
I think so. That is partly personal preference, because I think it's not really going to make much difference. I think that's more of a psychological thing.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's, like I said, it's a bit of science and my mental state of how I think about load and how I think about what I want to get out.
But that's like, I would do the same, really. Like, I'm just saying from like I say, from an actual sort of, I feel like an evidence-based perspective. Like, there's nothing wrong with you doing 3 straight sets on a leg extension, all on 70 kilos. What I would say would potentially be an issue is if you're doing 70 for 10, 70 for 10, 70 for 10, and they're all well away from failure, then that becomes a bit problematic. But yeah, have you frozen, mate? Sorry for everyone.
You're back now.
Yeah,
You
mate.
froze on mine. Did I freeze on yours?
Yeah. So I don't know whether whoever's frozen on, someone comment and let us know who froze there, so we know whose internet's the shit one. Butcher's Wet Dream.
One, mate.
What is the best Christmas song?
Oh, can I say Jingle Bells? Because do you remember that fat kid who sung it horrendously incorrectly? Do you know who I'm on about? Like from a few years back.
What about Fat Francis?
No. There's a fat kid and he sings Jingle Bells.
I've seen it. Yeah,
the lyrics are awful. I'm going to say Jingle Bells. No, I don't know. Actually, I don't really have a favorite Christmas song.
I don't have a favorite Christmas song. Maybe has Michael Bublé got a good one? I feel like he's just a Christmas guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All I can think in my head now is Last Christmas, the Last Christmas song.
Yeah. So now, what's your favorite Christmas song?
All I Want for Christmas.
All I Want for Christmas. Beth, what's your favorite Christmas song?
Wow.
Is that what you're going for?
It's a cop out. It's copy tonight.
Yeah.
What's this?
Always.
Yeah. Always. What's this?
Beth always copies.
Beth's copying. Right. So Beth and Sanaya's are All I Want for No, what was it? All I Want for Christmas. Yeah. Mine's Jingle Bells.
I would honestly argue they're all shit.
They are. Christmas songs are wine. Songs are, but they're pretty poor. Right. This is actually a good question. We've already kind of answered it. Hope you're good. Do you think having so much new information helps young lifters? As I can imagine, if I was starting to go into the gym now, I would be so confused what to do with so many different opinions on the best way to do things.
Yeah, I think it depends where they're getting their information from. Like,
if you're getting it from the One podcast, you are fine. You are good.
I would probably say the more information, the better. Like, really, it's how you interpret that information. So, like, if you think back to however many, let's say hundreds of years ago, yeah, bodybuilders back then, like if you look back in the day at bodybuilders, like maybe the first bodybuilders that emerged when it first became a thing, let's be real, like they don't look very good. That's because they have no information. Like they don't really know, they probably didn't know much about nutrition. They probably didn't know that they could have done with more protein, or they didn't know that more carbohydrates would have probably fueled their sessions and stuff. So the more information that we have as we develop and as we evolve as a human race is surely better. But then I would also say, like, if you could almost, like, if you had, let's say, 50 words and you could just tell a new trainer, right, this is my 50-word paragraph as to how to make the most out of your training, they'd get more out of that than if you just let them free roam the internet.
Yeah, I'd say so, because there's a lot of, when there's more information, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. And
if you literally just said, like, sleep 7 hours or more every night.
Yeah.
Eat.
Yeah, we need to find a 50-word.
Even if you just made it like really, really simplistic, if you just said, like, eat 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Prioritize carbs on training days.
Like, but even then, we're already like,
this carbs around the workout window.
Yeah. If you like said that and then said eat enough to gain body weight gradually, and then in terms of training, it was like literally like train upper lower.
Yeah.
It would be difficult doing it in 50 words. Like to get the most out.
Do compounds, do heavy presses, heavy pulls, and
with good form. That's all we can say to it.
Yeah, focus on it would literally be focus on execution initially. Get good at the compounds, look to get stronger across all.
The thing is, like, we've not said anything in regards to volume, we've not said anything in regards to reps in reserve, like we've not said anything in regards to intensifiers. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to, because they're not the most important things. Like,
wait, you're telling me reps in reserve and intensity isn't the most important thing? Fuck, we've pissed off so many people. That's us cancelled.
No, you know what I mean? Like, if you were to be trying to keep it as simplistic as possible, but then that being said, like, obviously the more advanced you get, you don't keep it as simplistic as possible. Like, we evolve. So for a new trainer, then I would say it'd be better for them to have something like that. But for advanced level bodybuilders or people who are wanting to absolutely maximize their results, then I'd say it's probably a good thing having all the information. But I'd say it's people get like they're ahead of their time. It's like they're running before they can walk. So it's like they don't know how to train yet, really, in terms of any real effort, but they're already training with reps in reserve. It's like you've never taken a set to failure. So you can't train with reps in reserve because you don't know where it is. Like that's the issue. Not just about that. That's not me digging at reps in reserve. Like that's for the same for everything. That's the issue, is that people are obsessing over, the quality of the protein that they're having when they've never taken a set to failure.
Worrying about how to sprint, but they can't even fucking jog.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, that's how it is.
Miles Mason has asked, England starting 11, has it changed since before the first few games?
I'm guessing with the last few. I'd say I'd start the exact same team. I'd start Walker in instead, like it's the exact same team as the first game, but I put Walker in for Trippier, and I would probably start Rashford ahead of Sterling currently.
Yeah, I would start Walker just because they've got more pace. Walker could manage Sarr pretty well.
Sarr plays on the right way for them, doesn't he?
Mate, he was on the left of the day. I'm sure he was on the left of the day.
He was on the right. Fair enough.
I might be wrong. I'm sure he was on the left. But yeah, Luke Shaw will be fine. To be fair, like we've got that much quality that I don't really think it matters. Like even if Sterling did start, like he'd probably still do all right. But I think Rashford's earned the right to start. And the thing is as well, it just depends on how we play. Like if Sterling had played the other night, would we have not won 3-0? Like I know Rashford scored 2, but like we'd have probably still won 2-3-0. It'd just been that somebody else like got the goal. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd expect that anyway. Like so, yeah, I think I'd like to see. I like the midfield.
Yeah, what the other night?
Yeah,
Hendo, Beckham.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think Henderson needs to play. I think if Phillips is fit, I'd rather play Phillips there, or I would play the same as the first game, but Foden in for Mount.
Yeah, I just don't think Foden will play in midfield, which is a shame because I would.
That's his position. He is a number 10. Like he's a better number 10 than Mason Mount.
You don't play numbers. Mason Mount doesn't play 10. He plays that like number 8. Yeah, but 8.
Even then, fair play then. Number 8. Foden's a better number 8.
I don't think in the system. I don't think Gareth used him as a number 8. That's the issue, and I don't think he's got the balls to play a 4-2-3-1 because Bellingham in a 2. I think Bellingham. The other night it was quite clear. It was Hendo and Rice sitting, and then it was Bellingham being given the free role, which I thought Bellingham looked better than Mount did for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather have Bellingham than Mount.
Yeah, 100%. We've been asked.
Wait, because Miles also asked.
Okay.
Did anyone beat my 2,890 minutes of Once You're In, You're In?
Yeah, we had a guy do like 3,600 or something.
Did we?
Yeah, he didn't say it. He tagged us. I think it was Max Fowler. It was like 3,800 or something silly.
Should we have a quick look?
We should add up. We need to have a look. What's the total amount of minutes available on Spotify, like that we've done this year? Because surely 3,800 minutes. That's a silly amount of minutes.
I'm sure last time we had people that had more minutes than we'd even put on because they'd be like watched ones twice or whatever. I'm sure we did last time.
Let's say we do an average of an hour. And there's 52, but we haven't. Let's say, what should we say? 48 podcasts we've probably because it's December. So should we say 45 podcasts we've done this year?
Yeah.
So that's 2,700. So how the hell is Max Fowler hitting 3,800?
I don't think he did.
He did, man.
Let me have a look back. Josh Campbell, 2,561. Alex Harrow, 2,646.
Yeah, Max Fowler, 3,863 minutes.
AJ Balwa, 1,690. 1,204, Lawrence Lifts. Wait, where's Max Fowler's then?
I'll send a screenshot, but he didn't put. He put in all year, and then he put.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, but look in the middle because he messaged me saying 3,800 or something, and I put prove it. And he says it's on the story, and I was like, oh, I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, it is 3,863.
He's listened to like multiple. He's doubled up.
What a legend. Yeah. I appreciate you, Max. Thank you, mate. So yeah, Miles, you did get beat. You got beat by Max Fowler. So I'd take the issue up with him, mate.
Yeah, don't take the issue with us. Like you're the one who's slacking, Miles. So you've been at work. So next year, bro, don't get outworked. That'd be good. When is the team are fit? Finn Kelly coaching meetup. Well, firstly, it's fkphysiques. It's not Finn Kelly coaching.
Finn Kelly coaching, yeah.
When are we doing a meetup, bro? We're going to do a meetup with our team.
We actually should do that. We should do it for our coaching and then like we can say if you're a big fan of the podcast, like you're allowed to come as well.
I wonder how many people do you reckon could turn up? Like,
if we did, let's not say that everybody would turn up, obviously, but I think if we did like a once you're in meetup with and alongside our coaching,
yeah,
I reckon we could get 100 people.
fuck, really? I was thinking 50 max, maybe.
Well, it depends how dedicated people are. Mate,
Yeah.
we get on Spotify, we get about 400 to 500 listens an episode. On YouTube, we get around that with views. Obviously, a lot of them might be crossover. But then with our client base as well, like even if only half of each of our clients came, or a quarter of each of our clients came, like
100 people would be wild. What, you reckon 100?
I reckon 100 easily. Like with the amount of clients you two have got together, you give them enough.
Amount of clients me and you have got together.
If you add everyone who actually watches once you're in, there'll be a
Beth, would you turn up?
Yeah.
Beth would turn up. She loves the podcast.
Beth's the legend of the podcast. Beth stops us talking about football.
Yeah, Beth loves the podcast. So yeah,
you easily get over.
You know what we should do? We should do a poll, or we should do a story thing afterwards on Instagram. Like, would you turn up to a once you're in meetup?
Yeah, but the thing is, you do that, and like everyone's like, "Yeah, I'll turn up." Then we'll do it, and we'll get like 4 people. And be like, "You all lie."
I know we'll just go for a Nando's. Just like that. What
would
we do?
As well, like, yeah, I was going to say that if we're going to do a meetup, like we'd have to plan things. Like we'd almost have to do. We ought to do like a live episode. That'd be cool, and get in-person questions. You know, like they do. What's it called? The overlap with Gary Neville. We'd do that. That'd be proper cool. We could get a host. We could get one of our clients to host it or something, and have us answering questions.
Who would be the host? Come on.
To be fair, Miles, I feel like would be a pretty good host.
Yeah, I reckon Miles actually wouldn't be pretty there. Miles would be all right.
But I think he'd want to be the center of attention. So I think
he's got main character syndrome, wouldn't he? He'd be like,
main character syndrome. He wouldn't be happy to be the host.
Yeah, I want to be the main character. Yeah, I feel like we'd have to have somebody a little bit more reserved. Bertolini would be
Bertolini, yeah, it'd be class.
Yeah. He's chilled. He's just a cool guy. He's chilled.
Yeah. Sorry, Miles, you're out. Bertolini's in.
Yeah, Bertolini's in. He's been subbed in. Yeah, I think Bertolini would probably be the one we go for. So yeah.
Speaking of Bertolini, favorite player of the World Cup so far?
Oh, Darwizzy. Done nothing.
The World Cup.
Yeah, no, I love Darwin. Darwin's my favourite player currently. I love him. Absolutely love him. No, favourite player, mate, Mbappe is fucking ridiculous. Yeah. I saw when he came on, I didn't watch the game, but I saw the highlights where he just skipped past somebody and then nutmeg someone. He moves so effortlessly. So yeah. Mbappe maybe. I like Ousmane Dembele. I like both.
I'm trying to think of like anybody that's.
Yes. Has there been a surprise like who's stepped up? Like obviously you had Golovin in Russia last time. You had Modric who was running the show. 2014, it was like Ochoa and James Rodriguez. Yeah. 2010, I'm trying to think. Oh, that Tish Balal or whatever the first.
He didn't stand out. He just scored a sick goal at the start.
Yeah,
is his name like Chavez? Chavez, the guy that scored for Mexico. He scored a free kick yesterday. Did you see the other free kick? He had another attempt and it was going in the opposite top corner. Like really? The game, and the keeper saved it though. Like that was almost identical, about 30 odd yards out again. Like, but just went in the opposite corner, and the keeper saved it. I
feel like someone like Cody Gakpo has got a good shout. Like if he was to like step up in the knockouts, like geez, and then he was to like drag them to a semis, that'd be ridiculous.
Like, you can argue anybody who's scored a few goals, like Valencia for Ecuador, like anybody who's scored a few goals, you go, oh yeah, they're standout. But like, it depends how they're actually playing. If we're looking at how players have actually performed, I'd probably say Mbappe, just because he's just a joke, isn't he?
Yeah. Right. How many more, mate? Because I need to get going.
I've got 2 more. We can smash through them if you've not got any. Have you not got any more?
Fave clothing brand outside of gym wear.
Women's Tesco.
Yeah.
This is my women's Tesco jumper. It's a size 20. It's £30. If anyone wants one, go and get it. Code 10 at checkout.
Yep. Sound. I'm going to go, it's a Y3, Adidas Y3 hoodie. I'm going to go Y3.
Y3? It's not as good as women's Tesco, is it?
No chance. That's what I'm going with. It would actually probably be top 3. Y3 would be top 3 for me. So
what we're saying, this is non-gym clothing.
Yeah, non-gym clothing.
I don't know, because I even wear like Adidas, and I mainly wear like Adidas out of the gym anyway.
Yeah. Not going to go Cole Buxton and represent, bro.
I like Jordan, but I wear Jordan in the gym. Yeah, Cole Buxton and represent just because that's what everybody else wears. So I'll just copy them.
Yeah.
Cool. What else is another one that everyone else wears? Although to be fair, as we progress as coaches, and as we increase our income, we should just start buying things like Balenciagas, like you were talking about the other day, to show off our wealth. So yeah, anything that's really expensive, that's what you do. Anything that's expensive to try and show off my wealth, that's what I'll say.
Yeah,
this was 30 quid. Actually, I think it was £29. This.
Fair enough. I think my mum bought me this for Christmas last year. Sure. So yeah, I'm gonna Acne Studios. I'm gonna give a shout to them. I like Acne Studios stuff. It's pretty cool.
Because you got back knee.
Yeah, loads of back knee. Loads of back knee. Just suits all the gear that I use. Acne
Studios, yeah.
Acne Studios, yeah.
Right. Jack Edwards 88. Do you guys have any bodybuilding or football related unpopular opinions?
Probably loads.
I'd say more bodybuilding than football.
Yeah, but football opinions. I mean, should we do one of each? What's your unpopular football opinion, mate?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think. I've got a player that I just think is massively overrated, or a team that I'm just not impressed with, or something. The Invincibles, I think, is not that good. I think it's cool of an achievement, but I think Chelsea the following year were way better.
I think Paul Scholes is the best player to ever live. Oh no, Rooney. I think Rooney's the best player to ever live.
What about Rooney?
I think Paul Scholes is probably the best midfielder, one of the best midfielders. But I guess that's not an unpopular opinion if I say Paul Scholes is one of the best midfielders ever to grace the planet.
Sergio Ramos stupidly overrated, horrendous to centre back who's been sent off 30 times in his career.
I don't think he's
as a player, awesome. As a defender, no chance.
Harry Maguire is better than Sergio Ramos. That'll be our unpopular opinion.
Yeah. We actually need to think about that. If we've got a footballer that we're I rate him more. I saw that Mohamed Kudus or whatever said he's better than Neymar.
Yeah. What was it? What's that guy, the Cameroon striker? What's his name?
Abubakar.
Yeah, Salah. He's better than Salah.
Yeah, something like that. Hatem Ben Arfa could have been the best player in the world. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. Ivan Toney's shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Finn's got an agenda against Ivan Toney. Finn hates Ivan Toney.
No, I don't. It's just because when he played for Scunny, he wasn't anything special. But that just shows you the difference in the leagues. He was playing in League One at the time, and we were doing pretty well in League One, and he didn't stand out. And this was only a few years back. Maybe, I say a few. It's probably a good 5 or so years. Maybe more. I'm not sure. Right, last one.
No, mate, Kevin De Bruyne, best midfielder in Prem history. That's what I'm going with.
I don't think that's that unpopular.
I think it is now. I don't think it will be when he retires.
Has Reece considered getting glasses to distract from the fact he's got little mole eyes?
Who the fuck's that?
Miles Mason. Miles is carrying the podcast. He's asked 3 questions.
Little mole eyes?
Yeah, you have got little mole eyes, to be fair.
Little mole eyes.
Yeah, I've got quite small eyes. I've never noticed that. Miles has got tiny eyes when he takes his glasses off.
Yeah, but that's because his glasses, everyone, you look at them and you go, Jesus Christ, your eyes are small.
Yeah.
Usually massive because he's wearing spectacles, isn't it? So
his spectacles make his eyes zoomed in, don't they?
Yeah,
they magnify his eyeballs.
That's that. We'll leave it there. Thanks for the questions, guys. Thanks to everybody who's tagged in stories. Thanks again for all the Spotify rap people. We appreciate you. And yeah, episode 71. That'll be that. We'll catch you guys next week.